What's good, YouTube? Sensational Sinceres here, and I'm back with another Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video. We're here for September 18th, 2020's Vendor Reset. So let's get right into this to see what we got good for this week. Okay, so for our first gear items, you want to head over to Camp Hudson. Here the gear vendor has a prototype performance mod with 4% turret damage. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the base of operations. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a Spec Ops mask with the talent Tenacious on there. It has a gear score of 279. The armor is 989. Its roll for electronics 1225, and the attributes it has is crit chance and increased kill XP. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 3.50% mobile cover damage resilience, and also here we got a reflex sight with 7% crit hit chance, 2.50% stability, and 5.50% headshot damage. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the weapons vendor here, and we got a large suppressor FDE with 19% crit hit damage, 3% crit hit chance, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the gear vendor, and here we got a tactical vest with the talent Rapid on there. It has a gear score of 273. The armor is 1943. Its roll for firearms 1177. And the attributes this has is exotic damage resilience, enemy armor damage, and ammo capacity. And also here we got a prototype stamina mod with 264 stamina and 3% skill haste. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the advanced weaponry vendor, and here we got a tactical ACR with a gear score of 263. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents this has is adept, swift, and deadly. Also here we got a SOCOM MK20 SSR with a gear score of 268. It has 148% headshot damage, and the talents this has is sustained, vicious, and fierce. Also here we got a heavy magazine spring with 3% crit hit chance, 11.50% magazine size, and 10.10% rate of fire. Also here we got an SR7 suppressor with 17% crit hit damage, 2.50% stability, and 4% optimal range. Also here we got a 5.52 hollow sight 10 with 7% crit hit chance, 2.50% stability, and 5.50% headshot damage. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the special equipment vendor, and here we got a Cassidy with a gear score of 273. It has 301% stagger, and the talents it has is ferocious, determined, and boomstick. Also here we got a Liberator with a gear score of 281. It has 20% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is predatory, destructive, and focused. Also here we got a Pecan. If you like this weapon, it has a gear score of 266. It has 22% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is deadly, meticulous, and Pecan. Also here we got an operator mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 276. The armor is 902. Its roll for firearms 1228, and the attributes it has is crit hit chance and disorienting resistance. Also here we got a tactical pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 265. The armor is 1172. Its roll for electronics 1213. And the attributes this has is stability and burn resistance. Also here we got an extended magazine with 116.50% magazine size, 4% reload speed, and 4% crit hit damage. For our next gear items, we're still at the base of operations. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and here we got an ACR blueprint with a gear score of 256. We also got a firearms glove blueprint with a gear score of 256. We also got a stamina gloves blueprint with a gear score of 256. We also got an MK4 M5A2 scope blueprint with a power level 34. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the cavern. Here the gear vendor has a gunslinger vest with the talent Vigorous on there. It has a gear score of 273. The armor is 1769. Its roll for firearms 1250. And the attributes this has is all resistance, health, and increased kill XP. And also here we got a prototype electronics mod with 250 electronics and 3281 skill power. For our next gear items, you want to head over to Kerman Station. Here the weapons vendor has an M249B with a gear score of 266. It has 20% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is adept, accurate, and unforgiving. For our next gear items, you want to head over to Camp Clinton. Here the special equipment vendor has an Historian with a gear score of 263. It has 161% headshot damage, and the talents it has is toxic, disciplined, and Historian repeats. Also here we got a Pecan. If you like to run this weapon, it has a gear score of 282. It has 21% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents this has is Prepared, Determined, and Pecan. Also here we got a military P416 with a gear score of 268. It has 21% enemy armor damage, and the talents this has is Deadly, Intense, and Responsive. Also here we got a tactical Super 90 SBS with a gear score of 273. It has 291% stagger, and the talents this has is Swift, Deadly, and Responsive. Also here we got a surplus SVD with a gear score of 259. It has 146% headshot damage, and the talents it has is deadly, talented, and discipline. Also here we got an M249B with a gear score of 277. It has 20% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is brutal, vicious, and adept. Also here we got a tactical mask with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 266. The armor is 857. Its roll for firearms 1,228. And the attributes it has is health on kill and burn resistance. Also here we got an operator pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 267. The armor is 1,139. Its roll for electronics 1,237. And the attributes it has is health and burn resistance. Also here we got some Spec Ops gloves with the talent savaged on there. They have a gear score of 273. The armor is 966. Its roll for firearms 1,184. And the attributes it has is crit damage, crit chance, and enemy armor damage. And also I mention this because I'm here. We got a prototype performance mod with 7% turret duration. For our next gear items, we're still at Camp Clinton. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and here we got a first wave PF45 blueprint with a gear score of 256. For our next gear items, you want to head over to Dante's Run. Here the gear vendor has an operator mask with the talent enduring on there. It has a gear score of 277. The armor is 932. Its roll for electronics 1,254. And the attributes it has is crit chance and blind death resistance. And also we got a prototype performance mod with 4% ballistic shield damage. For our next gear items, you want to head over to Madison's stand. Here the gear vendor has a prototype electronics mod with 188 electronics and 4% damage to elites. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the South Paul. Here the gear vendor has a prototype firearms mod with 195 firearms and 3% damage to elites. And also here we got a prototype firearms mod with 265 firearms and 2,838 health. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the Crypt. Here the weapons vendor has a military M870 with a gear score of 280. It has 333.50% stagger, and the talents it has is fierce, adept, and sustain. For our next gear items, you want to head over to West 34th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a paratrooper SVD with a gear score of 270. It has 167% headshot damage, and the talents it has is brutal, vicious, and discipline. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 2% pulse crit hit chance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to West 39th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a military RPK 74M with a gear score of 274. It has 22% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is deadly, fierce, and determined. For our next gear items, you want to head over to West 42nd Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a classic FAL. If you like this weapon, this one has a gear score of 280. It has 21% enemy armor damage, and the talents it has is competent, vicious, and prepared. Also here we got a tactical mask with the talent enduring on there. It has a gear score of 274. The armor is 901. Its roll for electronics 1,256. And the attributes it has is exotic damage resilience and increased kill XP. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 3.50% seeker mine damage. For our next gear items, you want to head over to West 46th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a gunslinger vest with the talent vigorous on there. It has a gear score of 274. The armor is 1,883. Its roll for stamina 1,169. And the attributes it has is exotic damage resilience, skill haste, and increased kill XP. And also here we got a heavy magazine spring with 11% magazine size, 3% crit hit chance, and 9.30% rate of fire. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 46th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype electronics mod with 264 electronics and 2,887 skill power. And then also here I mentioned this, we got a prototype performance mod with 7% mobile cover health. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 61st Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has an extended magazine with 120.50% magazine size, 4% crit hit damage, and 2.50% crit hit chance. Also here we got a mega rifle suppressor with 18% headshot damage, 2.50% crit hit chance, and 4% crit hit damage. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 58th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a gunslinger vest with the talent Reckless on there. It has a gear score of 267. The armor is 1,740. Its roll for electronics 1,227. And the attributes this has is all resistance, enemy armor damage, and ammo capacity. Also here we got an operator pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 274. The armor is 1,195. Its roll for electronics 1,251. And the attributes this has is skill power and burn resistance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the Park Ave checkpoint. Here, the Dark Zone Weapons vendor has a Marine Super 90 with a gear score of 274. It has 352% stagger, and the talents this has is Unforgiving, Responsive, and Competent. Also here we got a custom M44 with a gear score of 267. It has 170% headshot damage, and the talents this has is Vicious, Adept, and Swift. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 53rd Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a Black Market SASG-12S with a gear score of 275. It has 288.50% stagger, and the talents this has is Competent, Deadly, and Accurate. Also here we got a prototype performance mod with 4.50% support station healing speed. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 46th Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a Super 90 with a gear score of 270. It has 347% stagger, and the talents this has is Destructive, Predatory, and Competent. And also here we got a Tyrant Suppressor with 7% crit hit chance, 4% crit hit damage, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 42nd Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an Operator Vest with a talent Reckless on there. It has a gear score of 271. The armor is 1,876. Its roll for stamina 1,167. And attributes this has is Skill Haste, All Resistance, and Ammo Capacity. For our next gear items, you head over to East 34th Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has the SASG-12 with a gear score of 272. It has 305.50% stagger, and the talents this has is Deadly, Destructive, and Fierce. Also here we got some Gunslinger gloves with the talent Savaged on there. They have a gear score of 275. The armor is 967. Its roll for firearms 1,141. And the attributes this has is Assault Rifle damage, Skill Haste, and crit hit damage. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 5% ballistic shield damage resilience. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 5% ballistic shield damage resilience. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 31st Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a classic M60 with a gear score of 271. It has 20% damage to targets out of cover. And the talents this has is Skilled, Competent, and Adept. And also here we got a small grip red with 18% crit hit damage, 2.50% stability, and 2% accuracy. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ2 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has an Operator Pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 265. The armor is 1,233. Its roll for firearms 1,119. And attributes this has is Stability and Burn Resistance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ3 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone Weapons vendor has a tactical M249 Power with a gear score of 273. It has 21% damage to targets out of cover. And the talents this has is Prepared, Predatory, and Competent. And also here we got a tactical Super 90 SBS with a gear score of 275. It has 351% stagger. And the talents this has is Self-Preserved, Ferocious, and Destructive. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DC4 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype firearms mod with 261 firearms and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 3.50% sticky bomb damage. Alright everybody, that's it for our Tom Clancy's The Division vendor reset video for September 18th, 2020's vendor reset. I hope everybody who tuned into it found them something that they needed. Smash out on that sub and like button, y'all. I appreciate that support. Check me out on Twitch, Instagram. I appreciate that. I'm on there. And I will see y'all with the next one, everybody. Take care. Peace.